There you go. You learn something every day. Okay, look, we're going to get started. Now, we have good news and bad news. The good news is Rafa's here and I'm here. We're going to do our presentations. But Nick, who is going to do a presentation, is sick and he won't be able to join us. So instead of going to 7:30 today, we'll go to 7 o'clock. But, you know, if I talk too much and make too many jokes, it still might go to 7:30. But Rafa's promised that he's going to tell me to shut up if I go too long. So, I mean, remind me. So, welcome to Agent Workbench Unlocked. Little bit of housekeeping. Just if you need the toilet, they're in your own house. And if you have any questions, feel free just to put your hand up, shout out, post in the chat. We're pretty informal. And look, we probably won't know the answers anyway, but give it a shot. Right, so I'm going to present on just an intro to AI Agent Workbench. And there's actually a fair bit to it. It's more than I thought, to be honest. So I'm not going to go over absolutely everything, but just give you an idea of how to get started with it. Because I thought when I was doing it, I would have found that useful. And then our star, Rafa, is going to, sorry, I just told you I was going to say Rafa, but there you go. He's going to present on AI agents to monitor your OutSystems 11 environment, which I'm really interested in. I don't care about you. I want to see it. Also today, we're not going to be doing a quiz at the end. So like there's no swag and there's no quiz, but you just have the pleasure of Rafa and myself presenting and whatever questions people come up with. So let's get into it. Right, so did I just go forward or back? I went back. Okay, intro to AI Agent Workbench. Now, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to tell you what AI is, because if you don't know what AI is, well, you probably wouldn't have come to this anyway. And I don't know, if you got your head in the sand, keep it there. But no, so, you shouldn't know what this is by now. So fundamentals of AI agents, there's grounding data, system prompts, state persistence, so you can have a conversation, calling out external tools, and model context protocol. What are all those things? They're just a bunch of words at the moment. So when you're OutSystems Agent Workbench is like, at first I kind of thought, oh look, it's just a way to, it's like data fabric. It's just kind of connecting to a database, or it's just connecting to an agent, you know, so what? But it's more than that. And it encodes how to work with an agent in a really nice way that's really helpful for you. And there's a bunch of tools that we'll show you that help you make sure it's working properly and integrate it into your apps. So there's a flow that that ODC uses, and one of the parts of the flow is an action called get grounding data. And this is where you actually code in yourself and give context to the call to the agent. So you might actually grab information from a database or from a search service, or even call out an external AI tool. So here's an example. You know, if an agent is processing customer orders, grounding data might include the current inventory, like what's on the shelf, what's available to be ordered, customer history, or the product specifications. Let's say something wants something of a certain color, size, I don't know. So then your agent can actually respond appropriately based on real information, instead of just making it up like they like to do. Anyway, I won't talk about issues in the media. So what's the benefit? Grounding will improve the accuracy and relevance and reliability of the AI model's outputs. It's kind of what we want, right? That's grounding. Now, system prompts is similar to grounding, but grounding is like the context for the specific thing you're looking at. A system prompt is more like telling the agent who they are. It might say, so an example might be, you might tell it, if it's doing a customer support sort of role, you might tell it it's helpful. Another thing you often tell it is, if you don't know the answer, say, I don't know. Because if you don't tell the agent that, sometimes they'll just make stuff up. So you don't want that normally. If you're being creative, maybe you do. But in our scenarios, often that's not the case. So in ODC, there's a build messages action part of the flow. We'll go and have a look at this shortly. And that constructs the full prompt. So it puts in the system prompt and the grounding data, and then sends it to the agent. All right. And now often, if you've used different AIs before, you will have experienced a conversation where you might request something and go, oh, can you make that a bit shorter? Or, oh, can you do the same except in green or blue or whatever? And the way the AI is working there is it's remembering the conversation. And so that's all state persistence is about. Now, when we generate an AI using an AI agent using ODC, that'll do the state persistence automatically for us, and I'll show you where it does it. You can add to it, of course, if you like, and modify it, but it'll just store, but by default, it stores the answers. You might also want to store some of the reference data that you sent to the AI as well. And external tools. So as part of your call to your AI, you can call other AIs or other tools, or tell it to call other tools to enhance the results. And there's two different types. There's you can create your own model context protocol server. That's kind of an AI agent protocol. Or you can use pre-built connectors that are built in OutSystems. Now, what is model context protocol? Open source standard for connecting AI applications to external systems. So this is why we can have good things like AI agent Workbench. Actually, I think I'm adding AI in the front. I think now they're just calling it agent Workbench, but whatever. So, you know, what does any standard or protocol do? Reduces development effort, makes it easier for us to build integrations. So some examples, you know, an agent accesses your Google Calendar, acting as a personal assistant. You know, you integrate with that using model context protocol. Anyway, those examples are just different things AI does. We don't really need to go through them, do we? Right. So in ODC, ODC Studio, how do we add an agentic app? Glad you asked. Hey, Rafa, are you getting these pop-ups for people too? Like I'm clicking on them. If you could click on them, and then I won't worry about it, and I'll do it when you're presenting.
Yeah, don't worry. I am bringing everyone in.
Thanks, man. All right, I told you he was awesome, didn't I? Right, so I could go through slides here, but why would we want to do that when we've got ODC Studio? So, because I clicked on it and then it didn't start. Hang on for a sec. Here it is, starting now. How exciting is that? You can't see it because it's on the other screen, but just take my word for it. Anyway, so in ODC Studio, we click Create, Agentic App. Hey, look at that. So there's another type of app in ODC. Also in the portal, you can configure different connections to different AI services. There's a few there by default. In your personal environments, it looks like there's less there by default than in a enterprise or commercial subscription. That's what I've seen anyway. All right, so look out for that. But here we go. So now what I might do is I might change the resolution of my screen so you can see it easier. Let's scale it to, let's go 150. Right. How's that? Create agentic app. So Stuart's agentic app. You know, give it a description, give it an image. And I'm going to try that one. And like you kind of have to have a bit of an idea of what the different agent services are good for. So that's going to take a little bit of research. Right, so this has generated this app, and the way you call it is by calling this service action. And there's some user input, there's a session ID, and that's how it remembers the conversation. If we have a look, there's a single entity there called memory, and that's where it stores its memory of the conversation. And it's got a session ID. So as long as you give it a session ID, hey, look, it's only 50 characters long. But this is your app. You can change it to whatever you want. So you call that service, you've got input, you've got a response. Now you can modify these inputs, and I'll show you an example later where we do that. Because this kind of text in, text out kind of has limited use, in my humble opinion. Does have a use, but if you want to do something more integrated with your application, you'll want to modify those. So what does it do? It just calls this agent flow and then gets the response. The magic is in the agent flow, really. So this is those actions we talked about before. Get grounding data, build messages, passes in the grounding data, and the user input and the session. And now that it's built the messages, it passes them to your actual agent. And then it stores the response. So as I said, you might actually want to store the message that you're sending to it as well. I don't know. And there you go. All right. So let's have a look at what's in these by default. But, you know, it's pretty straightforward, but, you know, it would take you ages to kind of work that out. So now what's in here? Nothing. So you have to put that in. So I'll show you an example in a second. Then build messages. Now this goes, look, do you have any grounding data? Nice use of trim there. Probably at the same time, the most underused and overused action in the world. But get off your high horse, Stuart. So this is what it's passing. It's got this. Well, let's have a look at the system message first. This system message, this is where you go, you're a helpful assistant, but you know, you are grumpy on Monday mornings. Don't I'll show you a better example shortly, but that's kind of setting up, telling your AI how to behave in general. Then if there is grounding data, it's adding this in a saying, hey, this is an XML document and passing it in. I changed mine to do it slightly different than that and it still worked. And you're telling it, being really specific, saying only answer based on the content. So don't make stuff up. And then the system message content, which that's what we passed in here as your helpful assistant. Depends all of that, and then loads any memory we might have, and appends all the memory to the messages as well. So the content type is text, so there's a few different types that could be. And when we come out of that, so it returns all of that, then you pass it into your agent. So it's just really combining a whole lot of things and just dumping it all at once into the agent. Now, this is a list of messages here. That's an AI message. So if we have a look at, we've got some static entities. So these are these content types. So we're passing in text content here, but it could be a binary or image binary or image URL. So that's kind of interesting. And then we've got AI roles. So action, assistant, system, user. I don't really know enough about all of those. I'd only be guessing what they really do. So go and have a look at the doco for what they do, or maybe Rafa will be able to tell us. But it gives you nice links here to documentation pages on how all of this works. Okay, so let's go and have a look at a real, or one that's a little bit more real. So I've got this home insurance application here. Let's have a look at what it's doing. And then we'll show how it did it. If it takes long enough, I might be able to get in another joke, Rafa. Oh, sorry. Or not. You're lucky, everyone. Right. So there's this Australian. No. All right. Here we go. So here's a home insurance quote, and what I want to do is review this. I want the automated underwriter to review it and tell us if it approves it or not. So I'm saying, please review my home insurance application. I've not had a claim in 3 years. I'm going to delete that and ask the AI to review. So what it's doing is it's actually grabbing that particular quote and sending the information to the AI. It's putting it in the grounding data and problem communicating with the server. Maybe it's taken a while to wake up. I'm going to just refresh that and see if that works now that it's woken up. If it hasn't, oh, well, bad luck. I'm just going to have a look at the code. And Rafa's one will probably work. There we go. That's what it was. This is always an interesting thing, things waking up. Right, so let's look at this. Based on the insurance application, this is totally a response from the agent. This is the information that's pulled out, so that's all correct. Now, I didn't tell it how to find the flood amount, so it hasn't put that there. So it's got all the property details. I didn't tell it how to find when it was built or the deadlocks, but it's kind of worked that out just from the name of JSON attributes. and it says it's approved. That's interesting because it should kind of say, hey, when did you have last had a claim? If I say I had a claim this year, what's it going to do? Now it's actually remembered that, and we've got another message. Mentioned you've had a claim this year. Right, so now it's saying I can't make a final determination, which is good because it couldn't decide. We don't want it to decide one way or the other if it's not sure. How do we do that? Let's have a look. Yell out if you've got any questions or, you know, you want to heckle. So first of all, in our home insurance application, we've got our page where we go, oh, come on, wake up, where we ask AI to review. So here in that test agent, maybe I should have increased the server request timeout to let it wake up, you know, set it to 30 seconds or something. But really all we've done is we've exposed our agent and just said, hey, can you pass it the message that I typed in? We generate a session ID just with a GUID when this component loads. So that's all it is, just a GUID. And we don't change that between sort of when we ask it to review again. If we come to this page again for a different quote, it'll reload it, so it'll get another session ID. And so that's it. But we're also passing the quote ID to the test agent. So let's go and have a look at follow the bouncing ball. So here's our agent that we're calling. Now it's got the quote identifier from that application. So we've got a cross dependency, a peer dependency, which, you know, in the olden days, you know, we would have got shouted at, but because it's a weak dependency, this is okay. That's been okay for a couple of years now, but you all know that, right? Good. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go and Google weak and strong dependencies. You really need to know this for designing your applications. Right, so we pass that quote ID into the agent flow. I think you know where this is going. And then we pass it into the grounding data. Now, if anyone wants to shout out what they think I'm going to do with it, if you're quick. Right, so whatever you're thinking, you're right. So we're actually calling the data. What did someone say? I don't know. We're actually calling the data from the home insurance application where this call came from. Now that's a weak dependency, so that's okay. And we're just filtering by that quote. So we're grabbing the cover options, which is the sum insured, the details of the customer and the cover type, and the house with what type of roof it's got, etc., whether it's got deadlocks or not. We're grabbing all of that, and I'm just serializing all of those entities: the quote, cover options, customer, insured home. And then this is the grounding data. So I'm saying the location is Melbourne. We'll see why we said that later. The sum insured for the building is in the building sum insured attribute. Now, I reckon it will still work if I remove that. The sum insured for contents is in the contents sum insured attribute. Well, maybe it will, maybe it won't. And the insurance application is in JSON format, and then here's the JSON. You know, I just chuck it in. You know, it seems a bit random, but there it is. So that's the grounding data. And notice we're not doing anything with the user input there, but we go back to the agent flow, we get the grounding data, build messages. So let's have a look at the system message that we gave it. Here we go. You are a helpful automated underwriter who decides whether to accept or reject home insurance. If you don't know the answer, just say, I can't decide. Sign off all messages with reviewed by the automated underwriter location, where location must be taken from the grounding data. That's why we said the location is Melbourne. And that's it. And then we just send that to the to our, oh, where is it? Sorry. We just send that to Claude and it works it out. So pretty easy, right? So my little alarm's gone off. So that means that I need to get back to the presentation and get finishing. So we looked at all of that stuff. We created the test. When we have the agent, what we can do is click on test agent. That will generate you an application that you can test your agent with. So you don't have to yet integrate it with your application. You can just keep that around to kind of keep playing with it and testing it and making sure that it's working. And so it's going to publish it and then you can run it. So that's absolutely awesome. And then we had a look at customizing the flow. We put that quote ID in. And now you can make your agents call actions as well. Haven't done any of that. So that's an exercise for you to do at home. Maybe Rafa might show us something in that. I don't know. But that's an intro to the AI agent workbench. Any quick questions before we hand over to Rafa for our next session? All right, so we'll have a session time at the end for any questions. So without any further ado, Rafa is going to talk through an AI agent to monitor your OutSystems 11 environment.
Yes. Thank you, Stu. Do you mind if I share the screen myself?
Please do.
Just to be able to make things work. Okay. Can you guys see the screen?
Yep.
Yep. Oops. Okay. Let me just. Yeah, that's okay. All right. So now let's jump into the monitor part, everyone. As Stuart said, I will be presenting how you can use the ODC agents to monitor an OutSystems 11 environment. For those who doesn't know me, I am Rafael. I have been working with OutSystems for a long time. And in this case, I have been working in this component that will let you connect O11 with ODC agents so you can monitor logs, timers, overall environment health, anything really from OutSystems 11 using natural language. Okay, so let me show you how and why I built this and what problems it solves first. Okay, so the challenge. So O11 environments are full of operational data, right? Like logs, timers, like I said, integration logs, information about the screens the user accessed, or the information about timers that run. There are all types of information on OutSystems 11, and it's normally accessed through Service Center, but it really lives on the database, right, as metadata. So developers and admins normally, when have some issue, spend a lot of time digging through screens, filtering logs, checking timers one by one, when they need to troubleshoot something. And meanwhile, ODC now supports AI agents, right? However, outside of the box, an agent doesn't have access to the O11 data, especially the system tables, like I mentioned, right? So that's why, sorry, that was the reason why I tried to build this agent. Since we didn't have any native way to bridge these words, the agent tried to solve this challenge. Okay. So the vision was very simple. What I wanted to do was something where you could ask about your environment health, right? So no navigation in Search Center, no digging, just ask things like, what errors happened today? Or which timers failed last night? Or summarize the logs for module X, something like that, right? The goal was to let anyone, being dev, administrator, tester, anyone, get insights instantly through conversation, right? Through natural language. So what I did was the O11 new assistant. This is the name I gave. It's not very original, right? But but it was a good one that I tried to use to explain what I wanted to do. The new assistant is actually built with 3 different apps working together. Okay, the first one is the O11 probe. So it is a O11 application that exposes the data from the O11 environment to the agent. So it exposes the logs, the information about the timers, information about errors, everything that we can access through Service Center using REST APIs. Okay, so this is the one you are seeing here on the right bottom part of the diagram. Then, like I said, it exposes the it exposes the services as REST APIs for the ODC agent, which is the second application. So this ODC agent calls the REST APIs as tools from O11 to be able to interpret and reason over the data. Okay. And then we finally have the third and last app, which is the user interface application. This application, by the way, I will show you in just 1 minute, but this one, by the way, is another reusable component. So everything you will see here is something you can also use in your own applications, agent applications, if you need to. Okay. This is available on Forge. Sorry, guys, can you see my screen? Just checking.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I just had a look at the presentation and I saw your screen, Stuart. I thought it wasn't sharing mine, but
I haven't stopped sharing mine. I always do this.
No worries.
You can have 2 people sharing at the same time.
That's technology, right? There's no problems. If you can still see my screen, that's all good. Anyway, like I said, these 3 apps work together to give you the final experience, which I will show in just a minute. However, before I jump into the demo and the code, I just want to explain as well how it actually works. Okay, so let's break it down how the assistant works end to end. First of all, the idea is that the user asks the questions in the chat. So we have something like this. You will see in the real demo, but you have this interface where you can go ask anything you want. Then the AI agent interprets the intent and selects the appropriate probe tool to call. The probe, as I said before, is the O11 application, and the tools are each one of the methods exposed by this O11 application. So the agent will call the O11 probe and analyze the data. This is something I will also show how it works in the code, guys. But here is how you can configure tools for your agents to access. And this, by the way, in my opinion, is the biggest advantage of using OutSystems, the OutSystems ODC agents, because you can very easily integrate with the tools. Before I continue, Chivita, do you have your hand up? Do you want to ask something?
No, sorry. It was mistakenly missed.
Oh, that's so good. So continuing, guys, I will also talk a little bit about how you can define the tools, but the tools are everything the agent will have available to itself to call or to use as support to reason, okay? And then finally, after the agent interprets, reason, and summarize the data, it sends the response back to the final user, right? So this is an example. I asked here this question, and the agent gave me the response summarizing what are the top 3 errors happening on my environment. It even gave me a count, what were the modules affected, a brief description of what the error was, and even some other details as well. Okay. Now let's talk about behind the scenes, right? Let's understand the workflow. Let me open this black box and look behind the curtain, right? So first I want to talk about the O11 probe, which is the backbone of the whole setup, okay? This is an O11 small app that exposes operational data through secured REST endpoints. It has custom roles as well to ensure only authorized agents can access it. This is where timers, the logs for timers, errors, details are retrieved from. The probe itself is lightweight, it's extensible, easy to deploy in any OutSystems environment. I will bring it up here on the screen just very quickly to show a little bit in more details. So you can see here we have the REST endpoints, which all the methods for data I want to retrieve from the database O11, from the O11 database. The way it gets this information is very, very simple. It just gets through a SQL query, an advanced SQL query. What is the logs we want? This, by the way, is something I am planning to improve in the future. You can notice there is a comment here to improve performance if it becomes an issue, or even integrate in the future with different notations like TOON. I'm not sure if you guys have heard about it, but there is a notation that is called token object oriented notation that is much more performatic for agents because it consumes less tokens. So currently here, what happens is that I am returning the data as JSON. So if you notice on the end of my query, I have this statement for JSON patch, which is a SQL statement that you can use to transform your data into a JSON. So if I test here, you will be able to see this is the actually data retrieved from the database in a JSON format. Okay, this is how I am sending it to the agent in a easy and fast way. But in the future, the idea will be to improve it even further in a way that we can we can have more information sent to the agents without impacts in tokens, in number of tokens, in number of costs as well, resources being consumed. So the idea is to improve it even further as we go. But there is no secret, as you can see, very simple application, exposing methods and getting the information from the database in your OutSystems 11. Okay, so this is the Pro. Then we also have the ODC, the ODC agent itself, right? Here, what you are seeing are the tools that we have in the ODC agent. If I bring it to the screen, you will be able to see the agent module I have in my ODC environment. If you go to the agent task, you will see it's the same one Stuart showed, right? I use it the same template. And if you go inside your model, inside your call to the model, you will be able to select which model you want to use, right? So in this case, I am using the trial Amazon Nova Pro that comes with the OutSystems itself. If I wanted, I would be able to configure more models here as well, including my own, right? I could bring my own license sort of thing with the LLM modules I would like to use. In this case, I am just using a sample one. And as part of the configurations of the agents as well, you can configure what are the tools it will have available to use, right? So you will notice I have here a button that I can add an action. And when I add this action, I can select, sorry guys. Let me go back here, technical issues. What I wanted to show is this. Yeah, it's not letting me show it in an easy way. Okay, there we go. So here we have, when I click at the add action button, it showed me all the available actions I have in my environment, in my ODC environment, right? And I could select any one of them to use as a tool in my agent when using it in runtime. Okay, in this case, what I did to make all the tools available for my agent to use was to consume the REST endpoints I exposed using the O11 application and wrapped them in a specific action that then could be used by my agent as a tool. Okay. And what is really nice about this this approach, guys, is that these tools are called by the agent without any instructions from the developer saying when it should call or when it should use a specific tool or another. The magic here is that the agent itself knows, based on the context the user is providing or the context the user is asking, which tools it should use, right? So automatically, out of the box, the agent will be able to decide and reason and choose which one it should use or which tool it should use, right? So the only thing we need to do is to define here the description for the tool in a way that the agent would know a little bit of the description of the tool it needs to consume. You can also define the input parameters the tool has and ask the agent to generate the inputs based on the context by AI, right? So here, for example, I am saying I have a limit of records that I want to use as a input parameter I am providing. However, I also have a module name that is generated by AI. So the agent will infer the module name from the context the user is providing. So if I say to the agent, look, agent, please help me find the errors for module X, it will be able to get this name X and put as the input parameter of my tool in a way that automatically all the parameters and tools would be called without me needing to say when to use each one. Okay. So this is, again, in my opinion, one of the best advantages of using ODC and the agents, the easiness of configuring the tools and make them available for your agent. And enough slides. Let's see this thing in action. What I will do is that I will ask the assistant real questions about my O11 environment, and you will see it selecting the tools, fetching the data, and forming the insights in real time. Okay,
That's what we want to see, Rafa.
let's do it. So here we have the, here we have the agent interface. The agent interface, like I said, is a reusable component. It can be used by other people in other agents. So if you have a use case where you want to give a ChatGPT sort of tool for your end users applications, you could use this. For your end users in OutSystems, you could use this interface as well. You will notice that it has a nice dark and light theme here to use. You can select the context from sessions that you used before. Let's start though a new conversation here. Wait 1 second. Okay, so let's start a new one. I will ask about the errors in my environment, right? So I will say, hello, can you give me the last, can you give me the errors that happened in the last month in my environment? If I still have credits, by the way, guys, because this is using the trial model. But if I still have credits, hopefully it will give me an answer.
I'll put in $5, Rafa.
Let's keep, there we go. It took some time, but it worked. So here is what the agent said to me. Here's a summary of the errors that occurred in the last month in your OutSystems environment. Top error messages: deprecated clear dynamic configuration, action is incompatible with the advanced REST extension definition. There's another error for scheduled service, unable to notify event watcher of event X. There is also an affected module and application section here. It's saying what were the modules and applications affected. This, by the way, guys, is not something I defined. The agent decided by itself to give this structure and these informations. Okay. So also server information, all errors occurred on the server SQ6JY, which is my front end in my personal environment, my email, which is the user impact. So who was the user impacted maybe by these errors, recommendations, next steps, and what I should be doing to make these errors less, or to mitigate these errors, right? I can even ask about, for example, let's say this one. How could I fix the error about deprecated clear dynamics configurations? So the idea is that the agent can reason behind it, interpret what I am asking based on the history he has, and it will also give me a step-by-step guide. So I can see, for example, identify the extension version. Determine the current version of the advanced REST extension in your environment. This can typically be found in the OutSystems Service Center. It will say for me to check for updates, update the extension. So it will try to guide me in a way to fix the issues. I could keep talking with the agent. I could also try to ask for different stuff. So you will notice that you have an information icon here that if you click, it will say everything you can ask for the agent and all the tools that are also available for the agent, right? So get cyclic jobs. These are the logs for the timers in the O11 environment. Here are the type of analysis it can do, right? Extensions. This is the logs for the extension. So if I ask, could you let me know if any extension is failing in my environment? So hopefully it will also give me this type of information. So the idea here is to make available a chat for anyone, especially business users, people that are not so technical, wouldn't know how to understand. There you go. So here I already got an error because of the limit. As I said, I was using the trial module, model with limited usage, so I will not be able to continue anymore. But the main idea is that, everyone. That's what I wanted to show. Thank you for taking the time. I'm happy to answer any questions as well, if you have them. If you have any other questions for Stu as well, please go ahead. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Bruno?
Hi. If we put in production this agent, is it enough for OutSystems to advance with that offer of agent Workbench? So any client who deploys this agent that you've shown, would that be enough for OutSystems to move forward, do you know, and say, yes, you have something in production, and so, yeah, I'm offering until the end of the contract the agent Workbench to the client?
Look, I don't know if OutSystems would accept this as a like real usage scenario, but I assume that if you are using it in production and really taking advantage of the agent to give you answers and help you troubleshoot different applications, I would assume yes, you could use it as a check, right? As the application to check the box and get the license for free.
I might just add to that. Like, I'm almost certain that will be okay, but everyone needs to check with their account manager just to be sure. But in discussions that I've had, it's with my account manager. Yeah, it's anything. As long as you've got one in production, that's all you need. Doesn't matter what it's doing. Rafa, I had a question for you.
Sure.
You know, you showed you had wrappers for the REST APIs.
Yes.
And then I thought, oh, look, OutSystems quality is just going to say you should consume that REST API in a library anyway, that's an architectural guideline. But I wondered, when you were configuring them, did it not actually show the API methods? Did you have to wrap them so that they would appear when you were configuring the actions there?
Yeah, in this case, it didn't identify the REST methods directly. I had to create wrappers, right? So
Yeah, right.
I'm not sure why, if it's a limitation or...
But it doesn't really matter because you're doing, like, it's the best practice anyway to wrap them. And you really should be in a library if you're consuming
Yep.
the API anyway. But I don't know, I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah. I think the main point here is really the ability and the easiness of configuring those tools, right? Because this is something you can do with whatever you want. It's not only about REST APIs you consume, it's an action you can create, right? Or an MCP server you can consume, an external MCP server you can consume. Everything can be transformed into tools for your agent to use. So the possibilities here are really insane, right? Are really like the sky is the limit.
I think the thing that occurs to me now is make sure you know what your agent kind of is, what it's good for, because different agents are good for different things. But also the costs. Make sure you've investigated the costs, and not only OutSystems will kind of has got this deal on if you get something in production, it's sort of free until the end of your license. But what's the cost then? And then what's the cost of your actual agent that you're, paying for it, like at the end of the line? We want to understand those sort of things to understand the ROI of what we're doing.
Yeah, that's spot on, Stuart. I think the cost will be one of the biggest caveats, right? The biggest challenges of using AI with any technology, not only OutSystems. That's why I also talked about the TOON, the token object oriented notation. There is this new technology that is being very used across agent integrations because it reduces the information, the amount of information you send from one end to the other, right? So imagine that my agent has these tools configured, and when it calls this tool, it will store in memory all the JSON or all the information I sent to it, right?
Yep.
As big as it is, so as bigger as it is, it will consume more resources, and it will consume more tokens, and it will give more. It will create more costs for you in the long term, right? So trying to reduce this footprint, right? This integration or the amount of information you use in the integration is what will also help you save costs. So this is probably one of the things that will start to be very discussed going forward. But you are totally right. The costs will be very, very important, and the idea and understanding exactly what is contributing for these costs is essential.
Yeah. Hey, Bruno, I'm really interested in what you're doing with DMM, what you're planning. That sounds like a perfect scenario for it.
Yeah, I still have a challenge, which is getting ODC data. So the tool, by the way, for I think many people that already know it, it's available on the Forge, and there's like a free subscription for developers up to 10,000 records. It works for O11 data. So if you want to load O11 data into your agents for grounding, prompt engineering, whatever, you can use the tool. But if it's for ODC data, one of the things that I was trying to understand is, can you mix and match, saying, okay, I'm doing this test that you were doing of creating your application and testing the agent, but I want to do that test on top of ODC production data. And that's what I don't know if it's yet possible. In the one event in Lisbon, I talked to some guys that were developing ODC, and they told the agent Workbench, and they told me, yeah, in the beginning, that was on the roadmap for very, very soon, like weeks away. And so I was trying to understand if that grounding data, you could already try to ground it. I know you can get it from external data and external databases, but can you do it for ODC databases? So I'm testing it and I want to access the ODC production environment because they are siloed, right? And in the cloud, I know
Yeah.
that 3 months ago it wasn't possible. I don't know if right now it's already possible.
What information are you looking for, Bruno?
Well, anything business related. So if I want my agent, like those use cases that they showed on the one related, for example, a guy is building an agent to do the travel agency scheduling or something, but it has to be grounded in real use cases. Or
I understand, but like when you say information about the environment,
oh
like
no,
what information?
business. So
Yeah.
my own
Applicational
entities,
data, right?
applicational
Not
data. Yeah.
environment metadata, just applicational data. Yeah, that's
Oh,
totally
yeah.
possible. That's currently, it's as easy as bringing the data here, right? And consuming it just like a normal action.
Well, like that's what I was showing by actually grabbing that
Yeah,
insurance
and you can do it
record.
from production. So you are the Workbench can access any ODC environment.
Yeah, the Workbench is part of each environment, right? So each environment, it's like a normal application in OutSystems. Each environment will have its own agent, and you will stage this agent across environments.
Yeah, but
So you
then
will develop it in dev, then you will stage, deploy it to production, and depending on the stage you are accessing on the URL, it will use one information or the other.
yeah, but then you have the issue of I'm developing it and I only have access to the development data,
Yeah,
not
that's
to the
right.
production data when I'm in
That's right.
development. So
Yeah.
if I want to do prompt engineering, if I want to do the well, the validation, the tests on the agent, I don't have it grounded on the production data. I have it grounded on the.
No, you don't. That's right. You don't. And it's, you know, that's the same as any sort of development.
Oh.
So you would need to get representative data, but like in my organization, I just wouldn't be allowed to develop on production data because it's people's financial records. So I could get access to sanitized and de-identified data, and that's what I would have to do if I was doing that. I don't know if that works for you, but
Oh, that's.
yeah.
I'm sorry. That's what I was. The tool that I'm pitching around regarding O11 data. That's what it does. So it anonymizes
Oh,
the data and
yeah.
exports it into like an external database, for example, and so it's available already randomized with the fields that you want. The thing is, it doesn't work for ODC data, so it only works for O11 data. So
that data access doesn't exist, or it's not available as yet in ODC. You're right. Yeah.
So
I would. Yeah, you're doing the right thing with working with them behind the scenes with the, I imagine with the OutSystems product team or something, because
we've been talking to them even when they were like doing the tool to export from O11 to ODC. We had a couple of meetings with them, so they wanted to know what the MM was doing, so they could also improve their migration tool regarding that. So yeah, I was just wanting to know if there was anything new, but I think it will happen in ODC by what they've told me a couple of months ago at the one event. They told me that it's in the roadmap to have this to Agent Workbench being capable of accessing other things in other ways. I don't know how they will do it, but I think it's on the roadmap. Obviously, this was just a coffee table talk, so I don't know. It's nothing is official.
Yeah, and you know what they say about the roadmap is that like it might be on there for next month, but if a client comes along and says, I need this thing, you know, it could get pushed out another 6 months. Yeah, but we all know that.
Yeah. It's the same thing in any product, so it's not specific for OutSystems or anything else.
No, that's right. That's right. Do we have any other questions about? Thanks, Bruno. That was great. Do we have any other questions or thoughts or comments? I'm sick of hearing about AI, or I'm really excited. I'm both. Here's my,
Well, I have, if nobody's going to talk, I wanted to ask you guys, because you are more on the field than me. Do you see many clients deploying agents right now? Because what I see from other partners is that clients are still trying to understand where this can be included in their business to improve their business. I've seen great use cases from OutSystems, like the ones that the early access program they showed. But do you see people like moving forward fast with this, or are still clients trying to understand where this can be used and where it can give them a return on investment? I think the pricing that Rafael was mentioning is actually something that they are still trying to discover what it will cost them in terms of tokens and stuff like that.
Do you have any ideas about that, Rafa?
I have seen a couple of customers using it already. I can't disclose a lot of information, but they normally use it to analyze like their own use cases. It's hard to say. Sorry, guys. I can't disclose without breaking my NDA with them. But I have seen a couple of them. Yes, it is very it's very specific. Normally, it's not something that is very as generic as we think, right? They normally has agents for a very specific chain, and that's it, right? And if they need something else, they will have another agent and then another agent, just like an army of agents, right? But yeah, I have seen a couple of customers using it already. Not a lot, but a couple of.
From my point of view, I'm no longer working at a consultancy as of about a year ago. I'm working at a financial organization. We have a bunch of sort of significant applications in the industry that are kind of, financial advisor, sort of accountant facing, and some end user facing. A bunch of those applications, so this is outside of OutSystems, a bunch of those applications just in the last year have introduced AI agents for their workflows, for some of their workflows. And we're starting to build we're going to be building an application in ODC. We've just deployed one application in ODC. We're building another one for another department next year. And it's just occurred to me that we've been talking about, advanced search and like how do we build advanced search, and like, oh yeah, look, OutSystems doesn't really kind of do that. And it's just occurred to me, well, it does now, because agents can do that for us, and it can actually do it so much better than an advanced search in that much less clunky way. Instead of having to go, add this field and that value, just say, can you show me the blah, and it'll just go and find it. So yeah, we're definitely using it, and we're definitely going to. My understanding from talking to different people is that a lot of people are struggling, I think, to do the change over to ODC, because it's, they've got big applications, and it's, going to be a reasonable amount of work for them to move across. New applications are kind of a bit easier just to start building ODC.
But
yeah.
Now have you heard too that they are actually trying to coexist more?
Yes.
With O11,
yeah.
Right? So we have, as part of the same license most of the times, access, the customer sets access. If they have an O11 environment, they have access to a ODC environment as well.
Yeah.
So this is something that could like boost the usage of ODC, but it's also something that will let the customers use O11 for what is best and ODC for what it's best as well, right? At the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah, because you could use an agent for an OutSystems 11 app.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I did.
Yes.
Exactly.
If only you had a presentation for that.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Do we have anything else? Because if not, we might sort of wish everyone happy holidays and last call, last question. This is your one chance. All right. Well, look, Rafa, thank you so much. There was a great presentation, a lot of work, and a really interesting scenario. I hope Nick is okay. Nick was going to present, but was unwell. So thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you for joining us. I see, your faces. I think most of you have joined us for most of the year. So we really appreciate that. We think this is a great community. And if you have any thoughts, anything you'd like to hear, any ideas that you'd like to even present, even if it's just 5 minutes, we would absolutely love for you to get in touch and to share what you've learned with the community. Otherwise, we're not going to have a session in January, but we will in February. So enjoy your holidays. Hope you get a good break. Be safe, and we'll see you next year.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas. Feliz
Thanks.
Navidad. What else is there? Happy holidays.
Feliz Natal in Portuguese.
Feliz Natal. Thank you.
Feliz Natal.
Feliz Natal. I've got to learn some Portuguese.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.